Welcome back to Horror Trans. I am Stephanie Bree. I am a transgender woman. I talk about all things horror. Today, I am taking on a movie that I don't want to talk about. It is called Black Christmas. This is the original from the late 60s. I believe 68, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% on that, so don't quote me. So, why don't I want to talk about this movie? Let's touch on that before I get into the play-by-play and the recommendation. I don't want to talk about this movie because it's a holiday movie. I'm pagan. I do not celebrate Christmas. I celebrate Yuletide, and I have very strong negative opinions and feelings towards the holiday Christmas. So I tend to avoid Christmas as a whole. I don't typically like Christmas movies. I don't typically like Christmas specials or anything really related to Christmas. Like I said, typically. There are some exceptions to this because, I was raised Christian, but let's put that aside for a second. The other reason I don't like to talk about this movie is because this is one of those proto-slashers. And I have a hard time talking about proto-slashers because I am a slasher fan. And as a fan of what comes later, it's really hard for me to appreciate what came before. As a film student, I went to film school in college and I studied, cinema and history of cinema and everything else. I worked as a video editor at a television station. I am a sort of filmmaker. I did some student films in college. You will not find them. They are not available to the public, but I've done some for-hire production work, and I worked at a TV station, several TV stations. I was a television producer, I was a video editor, and everything else. I've already talked about this in other videos. So I have an appreciation for this, for cinema and the history of cinema. Black Christmas is one of those proto-slashers that helped define the genre, but it's still not quite defined yet. It's like, here's the blueprint, but we haven't laid the foundation yet. We just have the blueprint right now, but we haven't laid the foundation yet. That won't come till Halloween in 1978, which is a decade after this movie. All right, so let's hit the bullet points. Here's the plot. Here's a very thin plot synopsis. You have a group of college girls who are staying in a house, I believe a sorority or something similar, and they're being stalked by this guy on the phone who is calling them, leaving making obscene phone calls and threatening them, and eventually murdering them one by one. And then you have some other deaths around town, some children and things of that nature. Gets the town in a panic, the police get involved, and they eventually track down the killer. I'm not going to spoil this movie, so I'm not going to say if they catch the killer or not, or anything else. I'm just going to say that they go on a manhunt. And there are some deaths in this movie. And they're I'm not gonna say gory deaths, but they are memorable deaths. They're the kind of deaths that will stick in your mind. This is early enough in the horror genre that they were still trying things out, so these are original deaths for the most part, because this is before things took off. This is before the golden era, the golden age of the 80s. However, this movie's boring as sin. It is slow fucking paced. I'm not gonna shit on the acting because it is what it is, and it's not a bad movie. As a film student, I can appreciate this movie's place in the history of the slasher genre. It's just, like I said in my Halloween review, I've seen better slashers. And so this movie does nothing for me. It's like a fucking footnote in the history of fucking cinema, and that's it. I cannot in good conscience recommend this movie. This is a rent, as far as I'm concerned. If you have to watch it, so that you can at least appreciate its place in history. But this isn't one you're going to want to rewatch. This isn't one you're going to want to own in your collection. This is one that you're just going to go, huh, what's the big fuss? What's the big fucking deal? And you're going to move on and forget about it.